Hi, my name is Brianna Manassi, and I'll be doing my video on perception analysis for business writing. So, first question. What do you think are the top 3 perceptual distortions that employees are most likely to be affected by when forming perceptions of a new manager? So, I have some experience in this. So, first off, perceptual distortions are inaccurate understandings of or perceptions of people, objects, experiences that someone may have that are inconsistent with reality. This can result in biases and errors as well as future communication difficulties as well. It can also lead to incorrect judgments about the expectations and actions and communication between a group or an individual in a company or organization. So it is critical that managers are aware of it and properly informed about it. So these impacts can be damaging to a company and result in serious misunderstandings among members of a company, as well as collaboration issues as well. So people's impressions of the workplace influence their behavior in the workplace. There are many elements that influence this, as well as emotions, interests, experiences, and expectations of the perceiver might all be considered as well. So I believe that stereotypes, projection, and impression are my top 3 perceptual distortions that employees are most likely to be influenced while establishing perceptions of a new manager. So stereotyping is basically a biased impression of categorizing people based on race, socioeconomic background, so on. So there are preconceived notions about groups of people with similar features. When the qualities are visible, it's usually simple to establish those stereotypes like nationality, occupation, gender, race, sexual orientation, etc. Because age is an obvious distinguishing feature, people may form judgments or prejudices. For example, before I made the decision to work in the medical field, I worked in retail management for several years. And I gradually worked my way up from a sales associate to a lead and finally to a manager. When I became a manager, I was the youngest on my team, and I had to oversee sales associates who were either my age or twice my age. Now, imagine someone who was in your position yesterday and is now your superior. Some respected the fact that I was at a higher level at a young age, but others questioned my ability to take on this new responsibility because of my age. So it was difficult at first to get the respect of my peers as well as my staff, but I ultimately learned how to overcome that obstacle. So another stereotype that managers should be aware about would be people in different races. When people of different races work together in the same company, managers should be aware of stereotypes such as some will label African Americans as aggressive or bitter. Some may label Latin Americans as people who may have been here illegally. Some may believe that all Asians excel in math or science. There's also gender stereotypes for like women and men. Women may be seen as overly emotional or weak. Men, on the other hand, can be seen as dominant or assertive or confident. So it is critical that these stereotypes are not used in the workplace so that you could build expectations and prejudices, so you don't build expectations or prejudices that may harm a manager and an employee's working relationship. Another perceptual distortion would be projection. So Basically, it's a protective mechanism that includes projecting your attitude, personality, or behavior onto another person. And it usually stems from a desire to protect your own reputation of being perceived as a good person. So, for example, a boss who believes that their employee may have the same skills as them is projecting their own abilities onto others. Another example would be if an employee believes that their management hates them since they didn't greet them, when in reality, that employee may not even like that manager. So all defense systems are subconscious reactions to negative emotions and internal conflict. When people are aware of their acts, they usually use defense mechanisms to protect themselves from any worry or discomfort. And they allow people to maintain their self-esteem. But when abused, they can become a problem, interfering with their work relationships. People usually project their emotions onto others to justify or avoid responsibility for themselves. So, another perceptual distortion would be impression. So, an impression is an idea, a feeling, or opinion about something or someone that is usually formed without any conscious thought or facts, limited facts. Everyone has heard the phrase, you never get the second chance to make a good first impression, or make the first impression the last impression. So, a manager's, their physical features or appearance to others not only makes a good first impressions on their staff, but it also helps them to control or influence how individuals may view them. So, excuse me. There's several strategies for improving perceptual abilities. You could do this by simply knowing yourself, to reduce any perceptual errors. You can also show empathy for others, be pleasant, positive, keep a positive attitude, and be honest and have good communication. It's important to increase self-awareness and be understanding of how other people's personal biases and preferences shape our perspectives and judgments of others. So, as a result, if we wish to better our knowledge of others, we must first understand ourselves. So, the second question, describe what you could do in a difficult work situation to protect yourself from falling prey to fundamental attribution error. So, first, a fundamental attribution error is basically a bias that links to other behaviors to someone's personal character. It usually occurs because it's easier and faster to believe people's conduct is only determined by their personality rather than trying to account for themselves. So, it's common for employees to make fundamental attribution errors about their coworkers. They can do it by judging someone's character or overlooking situational attributions in favor to dispositional attributions. So it's common for someone to form impressions of someone without really getting to know them. So they may assume or judge them based off of their first impression of them. For example, in a company, there may have been a time where a coworker has been late to their shift, and now someone would assume that they're lazy or they're not punctual. But life happens, so you can't judge someone based off of one situation. You never know if they may have had like a family emergency, or they didn't have a babysitter, may have been stuck in traffic. You never know. So, some ways that people could judge others and make fundamental attribution errors includes victim blaming, ignoring cultural differences, assuming intent. So, it's common, but it's avoidable. Some steps to protect yourself from falling prey to fundamental attributions could be just being more understanding of other people. Don't be judgmental, and don't assume what you don't know. Another way would be to practice self-awareness, because at the end of the day, you know yourself better than other people know you. Just like the old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. It would be vital in these type of situations, because it's important not to judge someone based off what you see on the outside. So, number 3, praise can be a type of positive reinforcement used by managers. List at least 3 additional positive reinforcements that are used in a workplace. Of the reinforcements you list, which do you find the most personally motivating, and why? So, positive reinforcement in the workplace is basically, it's important because it communicates to your team that you value them in everything that they do. So, imagine working a 8, 10, 12-hour shift and your hard work goes unnoticed. Excuse me. That wouldn't motivate you to be a better worker. In fact, it may have the opposite effect. So, because a lot of people spend more time at work than home, positive reinforcement is critical. So, a manager can show their appreciation by rewarding good behavior, because that can motivate their team to be more productive and encourage them to be better workers. I remember when I was a manager, we would have, on Fridays, we would have like a treasure box where if a team member if they met their goal with credit cards, they go in a treasure box and they pick out like a card, and it had like, if you could get extra time on your lunch, candy, weekends off, pizza parties, you could leave your shift early. There were a lot of different incentives. A manager could demonstrate positive reinforcements by monetary compensation, verbal feedback, and opportunities for advancement. So monetary compensation would be like a bonus or an increase, employee discounts, PTO, vacation days, health insurance benefits. Also verbal, positive affirmations or feedback for their hard work that's another great way as well. Excuse me. Advancement opportunities, like promotions, travel opportunities, free parking, even the ability to work from home, especially now in this climate, are other great ways to demonstrate positive reinforcements as well. I feel that the most motivating reinforcement would be monetary compensation. I would be thrilled if my boss told me that I received a raise or a bonus for my hard work. The reason is because in this economy where the cost of living has risen, a bonus or a raise would make a huge impact on me. So essentially, adding a reward to enhance positive behavior could be a great method to motivate your team in a positive way. Number 4, you join a company where managers regularly reprimand their direct reports in front of others, play favorites, and encourage co-workers to report to one another for making small mistakes. Based on Bandura's social cognitive theory, what sort of company culture is likely to spring from these practices? How would a new employee seek to get ahead at such a company, and to what extent would efforts to succeed in this culture directly benefit the company's shareholders? So, according to Bandura's social cognitive theory, the company's cultures, the results of that company culture would be negative. Working in an environment where managers are reprimanding you in front of your team and playing favorites would be embarrassing, and it would not make a positive work environment. A company would actually suffer if its employees were constantly overworked, judged, stressed out, bullied. No one likes a do as I say, not as I do type of manager. So it's easier to appreciate a manager rather than a dictator. A new employee would have a huge difficult time getting ahead in a company with such a strict work environment. So leading by example and recognizing and appreciating your team and valuing your employees are great ways to improve workplace environment. Because these efforts can help the company's shareholders succeed in this culture by lowering their turnover rates, and create positive work environments and build a stronger and happier team.